Hello, everybody. It's Mrs. Pound. We are studying Chapter 5 on genetics from BJU Biology's 4th edition. The section we're working on right now is Section 5B on basic genetics. And today we're going to take a look at subsection 5.5 on variations of Mendelian genetics because, of course, not everything is as straightforward as it would seem. So our objectives today will to be explain the effects of incomplete dominance and codominance on offspring and describe the difference between multiple alleles and polygenic inheritance. So the first thing is incomplete dominance. This is the type of inheritance in which the alleles for expressing characteristics are neither dominant or recessive. Both alleles of the heterozygous condition are expressed at the same time. And what happens, some examples of this are the crossing of red and white flowers produces pink flowers like the snapdragons you saw in the previous pictures. And crossing black and white mice produces gray mice. So we oftentimes call incomplete dominance blending because it's like blending colors of paint together. When you blend red and white paint together, you get pink. When you blend black and white paint together, you get gray. There's also another example called codominance. Now, incomplete dominance and codominance can be easy to mix up because they're very similar words, but codominance is the expression but not blending of both alleles in a heterozygous offspring. And some examples here are a roan horse. This is when you cross a red and white horse, and it produces a horse with a mixture of red and white hair. The hair is not pink. Instead, if you look closely at this horse in the background, this is a roan horse, they might look pink from a distance, but there are individual red and white hairs in the coat of the horse. So they don't blend together as an incomplete dominance, but they are co-expressed. They are expressed at the same time individually. Another example is an Andalusian chicken. This is a chicken that has black and white, where black and white chickens produce a mixture of black and white feathers in their offspring. This also happens with horses in the case where you will have that mixture of black and white, and the horse may look kind of grayish or bluish from a distance, but in fact, it is individual black and white hairs producing that effect. And the same with these chickens is they will look blue, but you will take a closer look and see that they are actually black and white individual feathers. They are not blended together. We can also have multiple alleles. This is the possible arrangement of 3 or more genes, alleles, for a trait at a single locus. And an example of this is blood type because we have blood types A, B, and O. Now, we also have blood type AB. So, blood type is not only multiple alleles, but it's also codominance. A and B are codominant, O is actually recessive. And we will be taking a look at all of these examples in class. We will be doing Punnett squares and investigating all of these different things: incomplete dominance, codominance, and multiple alleles. There's also, we can do a dihybrid cross. This is a genetic cross dealing with two characteristics at the same time. Most of the time we just deal with one, but we can deal with two sets of traits. And an example would be looking at pod color and pea color to see what combinations and what ratios there would be in the offspring if we did this. And these are actually, they get more complex than our regular Punnett square that just has the 4 boxes in it. This is actually a 16 box problem, and we will do one of these in class together. There's also the idea of independent assortment. This is the Mendelian idea that the separation of one set of alleles during gamete formation is not affected by the separation of another set of alleles. So, for example, pod color is not affected by plant height. They're not connected at all. They are completely separate and random. Okay, and a lot of this has to do with the fact that the different traits are in different chromosomes. Now, if they're on the same chromosome, we have found that that is not necessarily the case. There's also polygenic inheritance. This is where 2 or more genes work together to result in a single trait. An example is actually skin color. Human skin color is controlled by 5 or 6 genes. Also, hair and eye color are controlled by more than one gene. In the background, you might not be able to tell, but there's actually a cat with two different color eyes. So, our hair and eye color are controlled by more than one gene. Height is multiple genes, multiple locations on chromosomes, body build, and intelligence also. And there are many more. So, genetics is a lot of times a lot more complex and not as straightforward as just there's one gene for everything and it's either dominant or recessive. There are lots of other things that we have discovered about this that we're going to investigate. So, our objectives today were to explain the effects of incomplete dominance and codominance on offspring and describe the difference between multiple alleles and polygenic inheritance. So, don't forget your 5 questions in the margin of your notes and keep watching this video for the questions at the end.